What we did on the wiring on this bike, we went ahead and did the color instructions. So we find that it's just much better that way. You can kind of take the instructions out in the garage and just kind of set them down and hook up the wires, because it's a little bit difficult to follow a video when it comes to hooking up wires. So you'll get your written instructions, and then I'm going to explain a few things before you get started, and it'll kind of make a little more sense for you. Now, we use these beautiful black nickel lights as signal lights. Now, if you live in a country that you cannot use dual filament, in other words, you can't use running and signal lights, then you'll have to run an amber lens, and then you'll also probably not hook up the blue wire. So we have a black wire, which is the ground, then we have a blue wire, which is the running, and then the purple wire is the flash. So if you can only run flashers only, you will have to not hook up the blue wire. So just ignore the blue wire if you can only run flashers. Also, a quick note about the heat shrink that we use in your kit. We use the best quality 3M heat shrink you can get, and we also use the adhesive lined heat shrink. So that's just really nice, because say you crimp a wire and it's not a super good crimp. Once you heat shrink this over the wires, it actually glues itself to the wire. So it's really nice protection in case a crimp is ever bad. Now, we chose to hardwire the back lights. The reason for that is we could go ahead and use our connectors like we do on some of the kits, but it just ends up to be too many connectors that can fail. So really the best way we thought would be to go on this bike would be to just hardwire everything in. So if you follow the written instructions, it should be pretty simple. And then when you get finished, go ahead and just make sure you tie everything in real nice and neat like this, because when you're removing your seat on and off, you don't want to have this, there's a little metal tab that comes down over this section right here. You don't want it to snag the wires, and it might wear through or catch one and ground it out. So make sure when you get finished that everything is neatly wire tied into place. And okay, basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be using two Y connectors. There'll be a blue one and a black one. The black Y connector, or three-way connector actually I call it, is ground, and then the blue three-way connector is the powered wires, or always on, or keyed power, however you want to say it. So basically when you get finished and the papers, go ahead and follow the written instructions. You'll pre-wire everything ahead of time, so when you get to this point, all you'll really be doing is just plugging in wires to match the colors with the blue and the black. And then there'll be three others that you'll have to deal with. There'll be a yellow, which is the brake. There'll be a green and a brown, and those are the signal lights. So just follow your written instructions. It's really simple. And then if you ever have to replace a light or something, you'll just snip a wire, and we'll give you some extra connectors and heat shrink, and that way you can just replace the lights. So anyway, go ahead and when you get finished, go ahead and just tuck those in there neatly so they don't snag on here. You also want to be able to get your battery, and then be sure and wire tie right here. That'll wire tie these wires up so you won't be able to see them from underneath. So take your time and enjoy that, and then I'm going to cover a little bit on the front. Well, that movement behind there was my dog Sam. Check him out. He won't look at us, but there he is. Hi, Sam. Okay, just a quick note on the front. Now, if you're going to wire this bike up before you get your headlight and everything back, you'll have to connect all these connectors in temporarily just to get your power to working to the back and the front before you hook up your lights. So you'll have to do that. And then also on these connectors on the signal lights, if you accidentally mount the lights backwards, instead of taking them off and everything, all you have to do is just run the gray into the black, and that'll, because they'll switch into either side, so that'll save you some grief having to redo them. So there you have it.